I was going to talk about, well, some of the people that are commentating on YouTube are talking about Ascension symptoms, and I've talked about them in the past, and some of the things they come out with are unscientific. Now, it's quite possible that you can have spirituality and still be scientific, but a lot of these people are animal crackers. So they get the idea of Christ, as in Jesus Christ, mixed up with the idea of crystal. Now, anyone that's scientific at all, who's been to grade 9 science, knows that basically any atomic substance can be liquid or gaseous, plasma, or crystal. Crystal is a solid structure. Now, a solid structure is crystal. And then the people that are animal crackers think that that crystal is somehow related to the word Christ. Now, crystal is C-R-Y-S-T-A-L. And Christ is C-H-R-I-S-T. Similar spelling, but it's not the same, and it certainly has no relevance whatsoever between the two. So people get confused and they think we're going to ascend and we're not going to be in a carbon-based body anymore. We're going to be in a crystalline. Well, first of all, carbon can and does form in crystal structures. Anyone who knows diamond is crystalline carbon. So it doesn't make any sense whatsoever. I've even heard someone say, oh, we're going to switch to a silicon-based body. That is the most ridiculous thing I have ever heard of. Now, theoretically, it might be possible to have a silicon-based body, but to transfer our consciousness from a carbon-based body, which is the whole planet Earth, everything is carbon-based. Everything that we know of that has a physical form is carbon-based. Now, if we really wanted to get very bizarre, I might say, well, you might have some consciousness that can get into other types of elements. You know, like a glass window is made of silicon, and possibly you might be able to get a consciousness that's associated with silicon, but we don't generally consider that to be something that's a movable living thing. Maybe we should, but it's off topic. Anyway, I don't think humans are going to start going and jumping into silicon-based bodies. Are we going to become cyborg, part carbon-based organic? Organic is the word I'm talking about. Organic is what we consider to be living things. And as I said, perhaps it's incorrect. Perhaps rock has got a consciousness and we are ignoring it. Anyways, as far as what we consider to be organic life, for example, these flowers and this hedge and that tree, these are organic structures based on carbon, and to think that somehow if you switch them to being silicon they would be of higher consciousness is ridiculous. So you have to be very careful because of the animal crackers, people telling you something to do with Christ, Jesus Christ, means crystal. It doesn't. And these people that are talking, they really ruin the whole idea of ascension, because other people that are scientifically minded watch one video of an animal crackers person and they think the whole thing is never going to happen. Consciousness can get up to Christ levels, and that is something you can calibrate on the scale of human consciousness, which, as I've said before, runs from 1 to 1,000, 1 being the consciousness of a single-celled organism like an amoeba, and 1,000 would be the consciousness of Jesus Christ, the Buddha, and some other avatars, at which point you cannot get any higher in a physical carbon-based body, according to the definition. Dr. Hawkins, who was a big proponent of this scale, said that at higher levels of consciousness, let's say above 700 on this scale, the human body has a lot of trouble because at higher levels of consciousness there is a lot more energy being run through the nervous system, and the human body is just not designed for these higher levels of consciousness. Anyways, so it's very difficult if you're up at high levels of consciousness. That's why you have ascension symptoms. You're going from low levels of consciousness, which is not much energy running through your body, not much. So you go to higher levels of consciousness and your body has to adapt, which is why people say you have to change your diet. Because if you don't, your body's going to have trouble with more energy coming through. Now, anybody who has been to an energy healer, like a Reiki healer or a pranic healer, knows that there is a transfer of energy into your body. And if you're someone who is channeling that energy, you have to have the ability to do it. And so what does that mean? Well, that's why we have ascension symptoms. It means, well, there's a whole variety, and I think the ascension symptoms are true. So even if you get an animal crackers person talking about ascension symptoms, it's what people experience. But it's because their science is, they failed science, and they don't. So that's why you get these. And the other one is this crazy idea of you're going to be upgraded to 12-strand DNA. I've been hearing about this 12-strand DNA for, let's go, 25 years. And I have never seen any piece of evidence of anyone in the scientific community finding a human with 12-strand DNA. So I think it's animal crackers to believe you're going to get more strands of DNA. There doesn't seem to be any reason to have 12-strand DNA. The most animal crackers thing I've heard of is that it's going to be DNA in other realms. So you have a physical DNA, maybe 2 strands, and then you're going to have 2 strands that are in the astral, 2 strands in the mental, 2 strands in the Buddhic, 2 strands in the Christic. This may be what they're talking about. It makes no sense to me. I don't know if chemistry in the astral is the same as chemistry in this so-called physical universe that we live in. Astral is where you go when you're having dreams. And everyone knows in dreamland things can happen that really, I'm not going to say can't happen in the physical, but don't seem to be regularly seen. It's just that we do see fantastic illusionists and magicians doing magic on things like America's Got Talent, which could be faked with trick photography, but I have seen things that I would say are, I can't explain. But generally speaking, in a dream, everyone knows that impossible things happen in dreams. And as far as doing chemistry in a dream, maybe people have got some dreams where they go to a chemistry lab in a dream. I have not. I've not seen a microscope in my dreams as far as I can remember. They just don't seem to be those kind of dreams. But all I'm saying is this idea of 12-strand DNA in different realms, it seems animal crackers to me. I don't see the purpose in it. Um, some people talk about introns and extrons, which are parts of DNA that used to be called junk DNA, and it's been quite a long time since they've thrown away the idea of junk DNA. Some people say, oh, it's brand new. This junk DNA is not junk DNA. This is not a new idea. This has been around for probably 25 years, that this junk DNA is not junk DNA, and it's used for other purposes. Anyways, if there is other things that can be produced by our DNA, I haven't been up to date on it. I haven't been to a real university science class in over 30 years, so I'm not one to tell you what they have found. It doesn't seem like it's published anywhere. It seems like we're very dumbed down as to what the state of science is these days. You go to YouTube and you have to go through 100 YouTubes to find something that's halfway intelligent. It seems like everything is very dumbed down. That's all I've got for this particular talk. Other things that I was following today were the number of countries that the average person visits, and it seems like the people from Great Britain travel the most, and they see quite a few countries, maybe 12 countries. The French, maybe 5 countries, and the Americans, about a third of Americans haven't even left their own country. So as far as in the United States, the average person has gone to 12 states in the United States, the average American. So, and this particular study was by Ipsos, which is a fairly reputable company for doing these kind of surveys. And they said that the reason why this 1/3 doesn't travel is because of the expense of it all. And I just found a posting yesterday that talked about how the bottom 50% of the world has lost, as far as their net worth, just under $1 trillion over the past, say, I don't know what it was, 15 years. And the top 1% have gained, I can't remember how many it was. It was like something like, let's go with 15.